Good day, everyone. I'm Leslie Sarga, and together with Clarence Umali, today we will present our final project entitled Data Cleaning and Exploratory Data Analysis Challenge using the Dirty Cafe Sales dataset. So, the objective of this project was to clean a dataset containing various data quality issues and perform exploratory data analysis to uncover meaningful patterns, trends, and insights. So the data set contains 10,000 cafe transaction records collected throughout the year 2023, and including information such as items purchased, quantity, the price per unit, total spending, the payment method, location, and transaction dates. So before cleaning, we examined the structure of the dataset. So the dataset contained 10,000 rows, 8 columns, where it is a CSV or column separated value file format. The approximate size of this CSV file is a total of 505 kilobytes. And we identified several data quality issues where it includes missing values, placeholder values such as error and unknown, incorrect data types. It also has potential duplicate records and outliers in transaction spending. So these issues had to be addressed before conducting any reliable analysis. So for the data cleaning process, the first step was handling the missing values. So we discovered missing entries across 7 of the 8 columns, and different strategies were used depending on the variable. So for missing transaction dates, it was removed because these are essential for time-based analysis. Second is quantity values were replaced using the median. Price per unit was imputed using the median price of each item, whereas total spent was recalculated using quantity multiplied by price per unit. Item, payment method, and location were filled using the most frequent value or mode. So this allows us to preserve most of the dataset while ensuring the completeness. Next, we checked for duplicate records using duplicate detection methods. We found that the dataset contains zero true duplicate rows, although some transactions look similar, but each transaction had a unique transaction ID, and therefore no records were removed. So we also identified the placeholder values such as error and unknown appearing throughout the dataset. So these values caused problems and because they were treated as valid entries instead of missing data. So to solve this, all occurrences of these placeholders were converted into null values before further processing. In this way, we standardized the dataset and prepared it for analysis. So several columns were loaded incorrectly because of the placeholder values. For example, quantity per unit, price per unit, and total spent were interpreted as text instead of numbers. So another is transaction date was also stored as a string. So we converted these fields into their correct numerical and datetime formats to enable calculations and trend analysis. So finally, we performed outlier detection using the interquartile range or IQR method. So we found no outliers in quantity and price per unit. However, 260 outliers were detected in the total spent column. So instead of deleting these records, we used clipping to limit extreme values while keeping all valid transactions. And after cleaning, there were a total of 416 valid date records that was removed. Uh, so there were no duplicate rows that has been removed. Remaining missing values were reduced to zero, and the final data size became 9,540 records. So the clean data set was then ready for exploratory data analysis.
Exploratory data analysis. After cleaning the dataset, we performed exploratory data analysis or EDA to better understand customer purchasing behavior and uncover meaningful insights. Summary statistics. The average transaction value was 8.90 pesos while the median was 8 pesos. This indicates a slight rise good distribution where a small number of larger purchases increased the average spending amount. Among all products, juice was the most frequently purchased item. For payment methods, digital wallet was the most common while takeaway was the dominant service location. Distribution of total spend. The histogram shows that most transactions fall within the lower spending ranges. This indicates that customers generally make small purchases which is expected in a cafe environment. Only a small percentage of transactions were high value purchases. Next is item purchase frequency. The bar chart revealed that juice had the highest purchase frequency among all menu items. The remaining products showed relatively balanced demand. This suggests that customer purchases are spread across the menu rather than concentrated on only a few products. Total spent by item. The box plot compares spending across different products. Salad generated the highest spending per transaction, followed by sandwich and smoothie. Meanwhile, cookie and tea produced the lowest transaction values. This shows that product type strongly influences customer spending. Monthly transaction volume. The line chart displayed transaction volume throughout 2023. The results showed relatively stable activity across all months. Although February recorded the lowest number of transactions, there were no major seasonal spikes or drops. This suggests that the cafe experiences consistent demand throughout the year. Item frequency by location. The group bar chart compared purchases made through in-store and takeaway services. For every product category, takeaway transactions were consistently higher than in-store transactions. This indicates that customers generally prefer convenience and takeaway services regardless of the item purchase. Key findings. Based on our analysis, several important findings emerge.
So in conclusion, this project demonstrated the importance of data cleaning before conducting an analysis by addressing missing values, inconsistent formatting, incorrect data types, and outliers. So, and then we transformed a flawed data set into a reliable source of information.
First, product type was the strongest factor influencing customer spending. Second, the cafe's customers were predominantly takeaway oriented. Third, transaction volume remained stable throughout the year, indicating consistent demand. Finally, high-priced products such as salad, sandwich, and smoothie contributed a disproportionately large share of the total revenue despite having fewer transactions than some lower-priced items. Through exploratory data analysis, we identified customer spending patterns, product performance, purchasing preferences, and transaction trends. These findings highlight how proper data preparation and visualization can transform raw data into valuable business insights. Thank you for listening. We hope you find our presentation informative